Welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. As part of a tour of states affected by insecurity, President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday touched down in the northeastern state of Yobe. The president, who arrived on Wednesday afternoon, held a town hall meeting with community leaders and traditional rulers in the state government house in Damaturu. After his meeting, the president then met with parents of the 110 schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram last month. At the meeting, the president reiterated his pledge to ensure all the schoolgirls are rescued from the insurgents. He says he has directed the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to take charge of the security situation in the state. Meanwhile, despite the assurance of the president, a Nigerian advocacy group is not happy with the efforts shown by the government. The group campaigning for the release of the abducted Chibok girls, #BringBackOurGirls, has threatened to take the Nigerian government to court if it does not rescue all the abducted girls, including the 110 schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram recently in the town of Dapchi in Yobe State, northeast Nigeria. The group accuses the government of gross negligence and says if the girls were not rescued in 7 days, it would seek legal action to compel the government to do so.
Since Boko Haram abducted over 200 girls in the town of Chibok in northeast Borno State, the Bring Back Our Girls group has been holding daily sessions like this, as well as marches to put pressure on the government to rescue the girls. While 164 of the girls have so far been released, mainly through negotiations, around 112 still remain missing. And to compound the situation further, Boko Haram again stormed another girls' school in the town of Dachi in Yobe State in a similar style on the 19th of February, forcefully taking away 110 schoolgirls. Not happy with the government's handling of the abductions, the group is now notching up the pressure with the threat of illegal action if the girls are not rescued in 7 days.
How could a school in northeast Nigeria, located in one of the 3 most terrorism-affected states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa, be so negligently abandoned without any form of security and surveillance and left vulnerable to the attack of February 19, 2018? What happened to the Safe School initiative that was signed onto by the federal government of Nigeria in 2014, and to which it committed $10 million alongside other donations by several donors, including members of the international community? While we wait for the federal government's response to our 14 questions, our movement, the Bring Back Our Girls, hereby issues a 7-day, 1 week, that is 1 week notice to the federal government to, without further delay, bring back our 112 Chibok girls and 110 Dapchi school girls, failure of which shall necessitate our actions.
Once you do not punish impunity, you are going to have criminality repeated all over the place. Now we are being told that the committee has been set up by the same people. To do what? It can only be to cover up. So if you want to challenge what has been done, by now we'll expect the government to have fired those who were responsible. And those 14 questions are very germane. Particularly, who withdrew the forces on ground? To whom was security handed over? And if nobody can provide answers, people have to be sanctioned.
The government has consistently maintained that it's doing everything to rescue the girls, including negotiating with Boko Haram. But the group says those efforts are not enough.
There has been negligence and the government has failed in protecting its citizens. And the Constitution says the primary responsibility of the government is the protection of lives and property. And so on this one we are going to court. Let the government know that we are not giving up on our Chibok girls, we are not giving up on our adopted girls, we are not giving up on citizens that have been abducted. We will keep on making demands and we will do all that needs to be done within the ambit of the law to ensure that the government takes responsibility. responsibility and does the needful. And the needful is to ensure that all abducted citizens, especially Chibok girls and Dapchi girls, are rescued, and not any more Nigerian is abducted by terrorists or anyone.
The government has since scaled up its rescue operations of the girls. More troops and hardware have been sent to the region to help locate and rescue the girls. President Buhari has also said the government was ready to negotiate with Boko Haram to secure the resale of the girls. It therefore remains to be seen if any positive progress is made over the 7-day period that the Bring Back Our Girls group has given to the government.
Still on insecurity issues, for the third time in less than a week, suspected herders have again attacked Plateau State in north-central Nigeria. This time, the herders attacked Rafiki and Dushekura communities of Basa local government area of Plateau State on Wednesday. 7 people have been reported missing from the attack, which is yet to be confirmed by police officials in the states. Still on the farmers' herders crisis, President Muhammadu Buhari has queried the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, for his absence from Benue State. Buhari had ordered the IGP to relocate to the state following attacks by suspected herders in January, which led to the death of 70 people. However, the president on Monday admitted he was surprised the IG did not obey his orders. He has also reportedly demanded a full report of police operations in Benue State. After 3 months and 10 days, the Joint Action Committee of the non-teaching staff of Nigerian universities have suspended its nationwide strike action. National chairman of the committee, made up of the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, made their announcement on Wednesday. Samson Ugokwe said the decision was reached based on extensive consultation with its various organs and urged members of the 3 unions to resume work immediately. He, however, warned that the group will not hesitate to resume the strike if government fails on its promises. A new land use law introduced by the Lagos state government is generating so much controversy in the Nigerian commercial city. The law increased the land use tax collected by the state government by over 400% in some cases. Residents of the city are vehemently against it and have been asking the government to reverse the law. The Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association have now taken to the streets in protest over the new land use charge law.
They threatened they were going to embark on a public protest if the government did not reverse the new land use charge law, and now they are making that threat after the government failed to respond. And it's not just the lawyers who are gathered here to protest the new law. Among them are a number of civil society groups who are also opposed to the new land use law and are joining the protest in solidarity. Welding placards bearing various inscriptions, the group marches through the major streets of Lagos, chanting songs.
We are equal to the task of protesting. We make him governor. We make him governor. We are the people. This is a democracy. We make him to be governor. He must listen to us. And he was saying, the governor was saying that it's open to dialogue. That has offended democracy and sound leadership training. What you do is you consult before you do legislation. You can't do dialogue and impose a fait accompli on the people. We will not accept it. It's not a pharaoh. We didn't vote for a pharaoh. We voted for him, Akinwumi Ambode, as governor, not pharaoh. His title is governor, not pharaoh, not emperor, not dictator, not tyrant. He must listen to us.
The protesters continue with the march, arriving at the Lagos State Assembly to meet with lawmakers and table their demands.
We urge our governor to listen to wise counsel over these excessive taxes your government has imposed on the people and review same downwards considerably. Please suspend, we are appealing to him now, the application of the land use charge law now for immediate review after extensive consultation with stakeholders. They brought their letters, they stated their case, and they itemized their grounds. As a result of that, we have received, on behalf of the House of Assembly, Nothing can be done by any one of us present here about the letter, except we remit it to the institution and the House will deliberate on it. The governor is a listening governor. He's been engaging members of the society, sectors of the society, and the man has said Lagos State belongs to every one of us. What affects one affects all. What affects all must be treated by all. Therefore, the complaints by people are receiving attention of both the House of Assembly and the governor of the state. We represent the people. The governor is governing over the people of Lagos State. The voice of the people will always count because they put us in power. So we have assured them that by the grace of God, Lagos will continue to wax stronger, both in legislation and execution of the laws of the state.
The land use charge law, which was first enacted in 2001, has not been reviewed for the past 15 years. The government has also defended the law, saying it needs to raise its internally generated revenue to close the infrastructural gap in the state, noting that it would need at least $50 billion in the next 5 years for the purpose. The state governor has already indicated willingness to dialogue for a review of the law and has already expressed optimism it will end up with positive results. But the protesters say the protest will continue until the government backs down.
The next step will be a response to the action that they will take. If they remain fastidious, we will activate every other means of engaging a recalcitrant government, which will include a repetition of this protest and more protests and further protests, but above all, we will meet them in the court of law.
Meanwhile, a Lagos-based lawyer is also criticizing the Lagos state government for the timing of the review of the land use charge. Onyekachi Ubani said the state government must consider present economic realities in the review of the law. He also questioned the rationale used in calculating the increase in charges.
I was taken aback with the rate of increase. I am not ignorant of the fact that for modern societies, you run government with tax and taxation. And the people must cooperate because those infrastructures cannot be built with blood. It's actually money you use in doing that. And developed economies actually run on taxes. But in doing that, you must carry the people along. You must also not punish them with your taxation. The taxation must take into cognizance the economic mood and other economic indices. Generally, we are just from recession. The economic situation in the country is very critical. A lot of people are grappling with basic things of life, issue of accommodation light, issue of unemployment, issue of a high cost of living. So for any government that is very sensitive, you have to be careful with the manner of taxation you impose in such a situation. I think the governor must critically take a look at this particular law and see what can be done in order to be realistic with the increase. For now, the increase is clearly unreasonable, is exorbitant, is outrageous, is clearly unacceptable, and that's why people are reacting, including the professionals and lawyers.
The Not Too Young to Run movement has marched in support of a bill yet to be approved by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Not Too Young to Run bill, which has been passed by the National and State House of Assemblies, will ensure a reduction in the age of presidential candidates from 40 to 35 and governorship candidate from 35 to 30. It was part of the latest round of constitutional amendment which has been forwarded to President Buhari. However, despite the president's delay in signing the bill, the movement on Thursday held a march in Abuja to express their optimism that the president will approve the bill.
There's no reason why Mr. President will not sign this bill, and we know that Mr. President is a youth-friendly president. We're here today to celebrate and even thank him for signing it because we know he will sign it. So here he's saying, Mr. President, we thank you for signing the bill because we know as soon as the leadership of the National Assembly transmit this bill to the president, he would sign it, knowing that young people make over 50% of the registered electorate who has their PVC and who would vote come 2019.
Let us look at national development. We hear that NBS released statistics that about 51.something% of youth unemployment was recorded in Nigeria in 2018 at the end of 2017. And that is a high percentage. So when it comes to development, we still are way behind. When it comes to poverty, unemployment, young people are still major victims. And we're saying if you have more young people in government, the policies and the laws would be made in such a way that it meets the needs of young people. And we need to start having budget that is youth responsive. And if we have more young people in government, our budget also will be more youth inclusive. And beyond that, issue of diversity, gender inclusion. More young people are more aware of issues of diversity and inclusion. And if we're pushing for more women representation, we need younger minds that would appreciate the importance of having women inclusion in government. So for us, it's about democracy, it's about development, it's about Nigeria and our future. We are the majority.
Nigeria is behind, and it's only young people that can bring the necessary change. The young people of today, we are ready, we are prepared, we have been educated for it, we have prepared for it. We are saying an end to accidental leadership. We need to be involved in the process that brings about decision making, because the popular saying is that anything that is for us without us is against us. You cannot sit in the room and fashion the future of young people when they are not there to make their own contributions.
Dina Melaye, senator representing Kogi West, says Yahaya Bello, governor of Kogi State, has introduced state police through the back door. Speaking on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday, Melaye said the vigilante service law that has already been signed by the governor is an insult to the Constitution. The senator said the law is in conflict with Section 214 of the Constitution that established the Nigerian Police Force. The Senate has mandated its Committee on Intelligence to liaise with the Office of the National Security Advisor to assess the law. Ex-corps members who won the Presidential Merit Award and Scholarship to further their education abroad say their colleagues who were already studying overseas face imminent deportation because they have been abandoned by the government. The ex-corps members who protested to the Federal Ministry of Education in Abuja want government agencies in charge of the scholarship to fulfill its obligations to those currently abroad and also obey President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to cater for others yet to be mobilized to study abroad.
We have awardees that are already studying abroad. They've been abandoned and they are under the threat of deportation. We are calling on the government because the president gave a directive that agencies, NIMASA, PTDF and NPA should clear the backlog of the remaining abandoned awardees, the 90 remaining awardees. But we have written letters, we have followed up. They've disregarded the directive given by Mr. President. Out of 164 awardees that were given scholarship to travel out of the country to study, 74 were taken care of by PTDF. Then the remaining 90 have been abandoned for the past 3 years now.
We wondered what we have done, what have we done, what wrong have we done, why the injustice, why the maltreatment. We have dialogued, we have went to various places and nobody is responding to us. They are saying this, they are saying that, and we have exhausted all the means of dialogues.
We've reached authorities. In fact, you look to some extent, you look as if we are even seeking political attention. We've seen a lot. We've seen Minister of Education, the Executive Secretary. In fact, I need not mention some things we experienced when we went to some places like Third Front. So you know, the audience that was given to us was even 0 to nothing. But except for the Minister of Education who tried his bit. We've met a lot of persons. We tried going from pillar to post. But it looks as if we are looking for political position, but we are not. We want our scholarship. We want our scholarships now. We want our scholarship letters now. We want our scholarship funds now. We needed the funding now.
People to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PVC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people who are looking to pledge that because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, my vote no go count now. Try vote first when you see whether it will count, you know.
Corruption not in my country.
What is wrong with Kilo Man saying no? Tell them I drove for more than 1 hour.
Ìyá mi, ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ká kúrò fún Ọlọ́run. Ká satisfy yín níbi ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe.
Ẹ wo jẹ́ ká lọ tẹ̀lé ká kúrò ń bí báyìí.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú. Hello ọ̀gá, màá dọ́dọ̀ yín lẹ́sẹ̀ I am assure you 5 minutes màá dọ́dọ̀ yín ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
You are deceiving another customer just like you deceived us.
The same way he deceived us.
Eh? Why?
Ètò ni iṣẹ́ yìí. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun, ò lè jẹun. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun ìyá mi. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun. Workshop mi leléyìí. Ibi tí èèyàn bá ti ń ṣe ló ti ń jẹ. Ìyẹn ló ń pè ní workshop. Ibi tó bá ti ń work ni kó má ti shop.
You cannot base your business on lies. Go down now. It is corruption and it cannot work. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Nigeria's inflation rate has continued its steady fall, coming down to 14.33% for the month of February. This represents the 13th straight month the rate has fallen. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, the current rate is 0.8 percentage points lower than the rate recorded in January, which is 15.13%. A separate food index showed inflation at 18.92% in January, compared with 19.42% recorded in December. On a month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 0.79% in February 2018, down by 0.1% from the rate recorded in January. The Lagos State government says it has not increased the cost of processing motor vehicle particulars and application for number plates. In a statement released on Tuesday by Kehinde Bamigbetan, Commissioner for Information and Strategy, the state said the rumored increase is being peddled by mischief makers who want to take advantage of the situation with the reviewed land use charge. Bamigbetan said anyone with evidence of an increase in the rates from any of the official centers managed by the Lagos State Motor Vehicle Administration Authority should report to the agency or the Ministry of Transportation. The federal government has released about 43.92 billion naira to 300,000 rice farmers to increase Nigeria's rice production by additional 2 million tons in 2018. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Aisha Al-Hassan, stated this in New York at Nigeria's side events during the ongoing 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women. She said the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration was determined to meet the objectives of poverty eradication and the empowerment of rural women and girls for sustainable development in Agenda 2030. Angela Merkel has been sworn in as Chancellor of Germany after lawmakers voted to re-elect her as leader in a close vote on Wednesday morning. She will now begin a historic fourth term as Chancellor. The vote in Parliament ended almost 6 months of political turmoil after a federal election saw millions of voters desert the two mainstream parties, which is Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and the Social Democratic Party, turning instead to parties on the left and right. At 171 days, it is by far the longest period in modern German history between a federal election and the election of a chancellor. The UK will expel 23 Russian diplomats after Moscow refused to explain how a Russian-made nerve agent was used on a former spy in Salisbury. Prime Minister Theresa May said the diplomats who have a week to leave were identified as undeclared intelligence officers. She also revoked an invitation to Russia's former minister and said the royal family would not attend the FIFA World Cup later this year. The suspension relates to the attempted murder of Sergei Skripal. The Russian embassy has denied any involvement and described the expulsion of 23 diplomats as unacceptable, unjustified, and short-sighted. Moving to sports stories now, the Tigers captain Ike Diogu is the biggest name in coach Alex Mora's 12-man list for the Australia 20 Open Commonwealth Games released by the Nigeria Basketball Federation on Tuesday. However, Christopher Obekba, Michael F. Befera, and Bryant Mbamalu, who put up impressive performances at the 2018 World Cup qualifiers in Mali last month, were dropped for the Games. 34-year-old Diogu, a 2015 AfroBasket winner and veteran of the 2012 and 2016 Olympic Games, lead the team made up of 6 home and 6 overseas-based players. Sevilla are through to the Champions League quarterfinals after beating Manchester United 2-1 in their second leg at Old Trafford on Tuesday night. Substitute Wissam Ben Yedder's rapid-fire double helped Vincent Montella's team see up their Premier League rivals after the first leg had finished in a goalless draw in Spain. Romelu Lukaku pulled one back in the game's losing minutes, but the damage had been done and Sevilla held on for victory and passage to the last 8 for the first time since 1958. It represents a disappointing defeat for United, who are just left with the FA Cup trophy this season. Andy Murray could reportedly return to action at one or both of the new LTA events created in the run-up to Wimbledon. The 30-year-old has not played competitively since SW19 last year and had to pull out of this year's Australian Open before it began. He has since had hip surgery and has said he wants to return in time for the grass court season. There are 2 ATP Challenger Tour events at Glasgow and Loughborough, with the former due to take place from April 28 to May 6 and the latter between May 19 to May 27, 2018. Well, that's it on News Now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.